Happy Christmas Eve and welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be reviewing something slightly more feature length than usual. This is one of the best Christmas special comedies to come out of the UK. This is the Flint Street Nativity. So if you've not seen this, you're in for a treat. I'm going to be reviewing this, and this is a special that I watch at least twice a year outside of Christmas. Me and my wife love this, so let's get into it. Originally airing on ITV on 22nd of December 1999. This had all the comedians of the time. Written by Tim Firth. He brought such quality films as Kinky Boots and Calendar Girls, so we know what we're in for here, don't we? Starring such comedy greats at the time as Frank Skinner, front and centre on the cover there, as you can see. Neil Morrissey of Men Behaving Badly fame. So Dervia Kerwin, who I hope I pronounced that right, and Stephen Tompkinson of Ballykiss Angel, if anyone remembers that cult classic, and Ralph Little, who now has gone on to do such things as, well, he went on to do Royal Family. I think this was before he did the Royal Family stuff, I could be wrong. And then he went on to do Death in Paradise, but we're going to go into this. Let's not wait any longer, let's get into it. The special begins with an almost Jurassic Park-esque style scene where we see an ornamental baby Jesus laying in the middle of what looks like a jungle. One of the few criticisms I've got of this special is the bad CGI for this iguana. They could have used a real iguana, I think, even in 1999, and this is about 4 years after Toy Story. But this is the class iguana, Michael Owen. But how did baby Jesus get in there?
Who put Jesus in with the iguana? Who put Jesus in with Michael Owen? How often have I seen that arrangement of hands?
This is the opening shot where the cast are first revealed to us, and if you thought this was some kind of nativity performed by comedians, it's more the comedians are actually playing children in a nativity. So we've got the backstage stuff as well. It's a full-on comedy. It's not just random. It's not just comedians playing in themselves in a nativity.
What are you doing? I'm knowing my words.
The set's massive, enlarged to make them look like kids. It's brilliant. I just like all the touches here. And we find out Ralph Little, who plays Clive, is the one who's put them in. And I'm sure if you're at this whole thing, and put it in the comments, because I'm probably going to ask you later on as well, put in the comments if there are people in this who remind you of people you went to school with, or you take a step back and go, that kid was me in school, and let me know in the comments. But let's carry on. We then get the opening credits. We see the school it's taking place in, and I like the way we get in the style of this poster for the Nativity, the actual cast, the real cast, and the characters they're playing, and there's a lot of great names in here. I've probably forgotten to mention a lot of them, but as we go on, I'll try and mention them. At some point, if I forget the kids' names, as much as I've seen this, I might refer to them by the actual actors' names. That's probably going to happen, but I have watched this a lot of times though. I do love it. Let's get into it. I do like the little touches, like the three wise men aren't actually in order of 1, 2 and 3. I don't know if that's them trying to make it look like it's been written by kids, or whether that's actually the actors and actresses vying for position up the list, that they're more important, but they're playing Wise Man 3. I don't know which is the actual reason. Let's start off with a wide shot panning around of the classroom from up above, and it's a great way to see the actual set and how they've made everything bigger to make the cast look like they're actually children. We also have things like the props and the costumes actually made from recycled from other things, such as towels made out of cardboard, etc., which is reminiscent of the time, especially when I was in primary school, the kind of things you'd have at a nativity. We're quite bluntly introduced to Jay, who plays the Archangel Gabriel, and one of the many stories that's going on backstage and throughout this nativity, and we see it bleed onto the stage later on, is the fact that...
What are you? I'm gonna be Mary.
She wants to be Mary. She wants that role, and she's vying for it even tonight, even when actually on the night of the play itself.
What are you doing? I'm knowing my words.
Again, in the comments below, what parts did you have if you were in a nativity play? So what part did you want? And I say this right now because for some reason in our primary school, and I think we did nativity at least 2 or 3 years running, I think. And every year in our class, at least, for some particular reason, I don't know why, everyone wanted to be the narrator more than anything else. That was the one thing everyone put their hand up for. That's the part they wanted. And looking back, I don't know why, because you'd have to say more lines than anyone else. But I think it might have been in part to the fact that you wouldn't have to remember any because they'd be on paper in front of you. But you'd have to stand at the stage to like the right-hand side of the stage at the front for the whole play. But that strangely, that stuck with me, that was the part in primary school, that when I was in primary school, that everyone wanted that part. Whenever we had to do Nativity, everyone wanted to be the narrator. Put in the comments, what part did you want to play, or what part did you actually get to play? We're introduced to Jay's two best friends, Shamima and Dawn, played respectively by Mina Anwar and Julius Walha, and I hope I pronounced that right.
Hello, Jesus. Say hello, Jesus. Hello, Jesus.
Pan round to Debbie Bennett, who's playing Mary, who's in real life played by Josie Lawrence, who's trying to sort out the tatty head of her in-play husband, Warren, who's playing Joseph, who's played by Jason Hughes, who, amongst other things, has played the, I'll call him the sidekick in Midsomer Murders.
She would have told him, I'm going to have baby Jesus in a minute, you've got a tatty head.
My mum's just had a baby and my dad's got a tatty head.
It's not Jesus, is it?
No, it's Colin.
The tension builds as we're introduced to Christian, played by the great John Thompson, who's been in such things as Cold Feet. He's been in I'm Alan Partridge.
Oh, it's a great privilege to be here on the Alan Partridge Show, knowing me, knowing you. And I've a song, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? So here's a little joke, right? What do you get if you cross Fred Flintstone? No, not what if you cross. What do you get if you... what does a Swedish Fred Flintstone say? Yabba dabba doo! No, he says abba dabba doo!
After witnessing one of the many arguments that the angels will have in the series of this special.
Is Gabriel an angel? No, it's not an angel. It's the number one angel. Gabriel, it's the boss of all the angels he was. It's the very... Let's not talk to Dawn, Shamima.
Monster!
We are introduced to one of the wise men, Balthazar, played by Tony Marshall.
Monster! Monster on here, what opens his mouth and all his teeth shoot out. We're losing radio contact. Oh.
Yeah, it does work, doesn't it?
And we're introduced to one of the other story arcs playing throughout this special is the fact that Adrian, played by Neil Morrissey, is struggling to overcome the fact that he's got a lisp, as all the other kids also start to make fun of him for his lisp. And that's one of the... There's so many great stories in this special that kind of overlap and overarch.
What? We give Jesus Flynn! Hello, Bubby. Hello, Daddy, I can see you. I can see you.
What are you doing, Errol Chiverton?
My dad says that if at the end we all have to carry flags to the children of the world, can ours not be from France, please?
That is a more than fair request. Meanwhile, Tim, played by Stephen Tompkinson of Ballycus Angel fame, is learning his words. His story arc, if you will, in this special is the fact that he's the narrator and he's learning his words because he wants to make his dad proud by not having to actually read the words. He's going to memorise them.
To their sheep, and the angel came down to the shepherds who had built a fire and saw. They had sores, I'm afraid.
Tony Marshall's character, who of the wise men he plays Balthazar, that's what he's credited as. I can't remember what the kid's name is, so I'm going to refer to him as Balthazar. His personality in this special is the fact that he's always daring other kids to do things.
Chuck him in the bog. Go on. Dares you.
He dares Zoe, played by Jane Horrocks, to throw the donkey in the toilet.
It's called Pedro. He's from Spain.
I've been to Spain.
Oh.
I've been to Spain.
And I have.
We always go. We go at weekends.
You can't go to Spain for weekends.
You can.
You can't.
You can, but it's a special bit of Spain.
Where?
Morecambe.
The way that they talk is so relatable to how kids talked, and they're falling out in and out of friendship. It's quite fun to see that they're nailing the roles that they've got.
Zoe, can I sit with you in Bethlehem? I'm not friends with Jay anymore. No. And anyway, none of it really happened. My dad's got a farm, and he said they would never have had oxes and asses in the same stall.
Meanwhile, we're treated to an atmospheric panning shot as we go back to Christian in the doll's house. He's sellotaping a cola bottle and a pound coin to a piece of paper. But why? Why? We will find out. The sellotape on his face as well while he's doing this is an exquisite touch, because that's so what a kid would be like.
Do we never talk to her again?
I've already mentioned the larger sets, but it's exquisite how that battery and that juice box are so much bigger because they're meant to be kids.
Why are you going to be Mary? Because the prettiest has to be Mary. It's the law. He says, have you had a baby? And you say, yes. And he says, what's his name?
Big up Scarborough, getting a shout out on the towel.
Name.
Certain.
And you say Jesus.
Don't want to do I?
Debbie Bennett's worried that Warren isn't paying attention, his hair's not going to look good, he's lost his crook, but Jay warned her that he had chicken pox last week, and now that Debbie's touched him, she's going to come down with it.
His crook. He's not got his crook. No has to find it. Honestly, be the death of me. Jesus Christ, Peter. You touched Warren. You touched Warren. He had chicken pox last week. Joseph's crook.
And they're in your arm, they're going up your arm into your head now.
Joseph's crook, where is it now?
And you're sick, and you won't be Mary. You're not going to be Mary. She's not going to be Mary.
It's the red heart.
The black spot!
We find out that Clive's fascination with NASA and spaceships is from the fact that his uncle lives near the space station in Florida. Christian imparts some clear and concise wisdom about Santa.
You know when they have mince pies? When you leave mince pies for Father Christmas, does Louise say, is it Father Christmas or the reindeer?
Me dad. I seen him in the lounge. All six. And the sherry.
That fat man.
John Burgeon.
Who?
John Burgeon. He were there with Mary and Joseph.
You know, John Burgeon. Everyone knows John Burgeon.
Was he the one who dropped the baby off?
We are now introduced to my favourite character in the special, Ian.
Welcome to Question of Sport. John Parrott, pick a number. Ooh, now let's see.
Wearing a Leeds football shirt, he is obsessed with sport, and especially the sports-based quiz show in the UK, Question of Sport.
Now, John, who's that? How the hell do I know? He's got a hat on. Laugh, laugh, laugh.
To be fair, that John Parrott impression was spot on.
What else is it like?
Zoe having worked on a farm, and Debbie, being the curious girl she is, playing Mary, wants to know what happens when the animals have babies on the farm. And Zoe goes into a lot of detail about it.
And that lands on the floor. And dogs lick it. Your dad kicks him and goes, "Go on, fly, bugger off." Also, you moo a lot.
That last bit's going to be relevant later on. Trust me. We get a bit of background why Jay wants to be Mary.
Do you still want to be...
Yes! Why don't you ask my son sister to let you be Mary?
Because she said one of my sisters was Mary last year. But that's not fair, because I've got tons of sisters, but they're not proper sisters, they're not real sisters, their dads aren't even the same.
And this is why she's vying for that spot to be Mary. She's going to be Mary. Balthazar, it's what he's listed as. I can't remember the kid's name. Balthazar starts mocking Adrian some more. The thing I will say about this special as well, for all the comedy there is, for all the great setups and one-liners they have, there is a lot of emotion as well, and there's a lot of payoffs of the emotional story arcs that go through it, and this is one of them, with Adrian overcoming his lisp.
What is it?
Frankincense.
What?
Frankincense.
Frankincense?
Could you, Chidi, do you want to swap presents?
Presents?
You don't speak proper. Is there something wrong with your mouth?
To be fair to Zoe as a character, she's just being inquisitive, as kids would be at that age, as to what is the actual problem with Adrian. They start comparing Adrian to another child, the one in the donkey head, who's part of the special unit.
You sound like him in Donkey Head. You sound like one of the special unit kids.
There's
Are you one of the special unit kids?
Get lost!
Clive enters the doll's house for a follow-up on the revelation that Christian gave them earlier about Santa Claus.
Your dad can't be Santa Claus, because if he was, you wouldn't be Christian Jerems, you'd be Christian Claus.
Fact. Is Clive wearing one of those fire blankets that you have for safety, those tinfoil ones to protect you?
You haven't. See, look, see, it's gone loose, it'll come out and you get money.
Clive inadvertently lets Christian on to the fact that he can get money for his tooth, and it leads, well, to this.
No, it's still stuck in.
Mary and Joseph had to go home and pay their taxes.
Taxis.
What?
Thought they went on a donkey.
Ha!
And what was all that racket?
Just talking.
Did anyone else used to read The Dandy? So obviously Christian's taken Clive's tooth because he needs the money. We find out what Christian was up to when he was taping that cola bottle and that pound coin to the piece of paper. The red glitter heart, it's a card for Debbie. He's in love with Debbie Bennett, who's playing Mary. He's also taped the tooth to it and gives her this revelation.
You get money for that one?
It's a shame because he gets ignored while the girls are arguing over who's Mary and where baby Jesus is, and the car gets ripped in half, but Debbie's obviously busy with Jay.
Got a Jesus, haven't we? Give it Jesus, will you?
You get money for that one?
Look, there he is. Come on. Come on then, Jesus.
Are you sure that's Jesus, and it's not just when people see it, they go, Jesus? While Shamima's too busy adoring baby Jesus, Jay decides she's friends with Dawn, and they're not to Shamima anymore.
He wasn't bald. He had hair and a proper face, didn't he, Shamima?
Oh. Dawn.
Yeah?
Let's not talk to Shamima.
Christian gets his crook stuck on a wire, pulls the multi-plug away from the wall, foreshadowing for the third act. We see Michael Owen again, this time actually played by what looks like either a real iguana or at least a live-action non-CG one. For anyone who's not in England, Michael Owen was a famous football player for the national team.
Where my Uncle Ted lives in Florida, they have stick insects.
Pick up Michael Owen. If they're that big, they could eat the iguanas. Pick it up. Dares you.
Right, John. Who is that?
Oh, now hold on. That's, Oh, I know it. Chap.
David Beckham.
No. Stephen Hendry.
Well, they do look similar, don't they?
What happened to Debbie's Jesus?
He's not here anymore.
Oh, have you told Debbie?
Debbie's not here anymore.
Dun dun dun. We then get an insight into Shamima's home life as she plays pretend whilst Tim is still trying to learn his lines.
Get me some breakfast. I can't go to work without any breakfast in me, can I? And get me white sandwiches. Right, you've said that. Right, then you've been to work and you come home and I say, Umran's been fighting with those Indian kids in Quick Save again. And you say, I hate Mr. Forbanner.
Also, through dialogue and the way children pick up on things, we learn that Tim's parents aren't together anymore, but his dad is coming tonight to see the play, and that's why he is learning his words off by heart.
My dad doesn't sleep in the bedroom. He used to sleep in the bedroom. Then he slept on the settee. Now he doesn't sleep at our house at all. He's coming tonight, though. I'm knowing my words to show him.
You shouldn't have let him go.
He jumped out. I had him in my hand, but he jumped out.
It's not even been a New York minute, and Clive has already lost the class pet iguana, Michael Owen.
Put in the store cupboard.
He can't. He's not allowed to go in there. It's Mrs. Humphrey's secret place.
And Mary and Joseph?
Hey, Joseph. Joseph.
Where's Mary? Where's Debbie Bennett?
Debbie Bennett.
Where is Mary?
Debbie Bennett.
You have to appreciate the hustle that Clive's literally looking everywhere to help.
Miss Humphrey, do you want another Mary?
Debbie Bennett, you're soaking.
I lost me dove of peace. And Jay said she'd saw it blowing across the playground. And
Oh, I just found it again.
The end of Act 1, obviously this would be where the commercial break would be if it was on TV. They still include this in the DVD release as well. And now we're finally going to get to the actual play starting as we see that Jay and Debbie's rivalry is just going to get worse and worse throughout this, I think. The whole feel and vibe of this and just things used like the actual little low-budget curtain, they've got it on point. And Joseph really doesn't want to be there.
Where Mary and Joseph lived. Joseph was a carpenter. One day Joseph went off to work. And Mary was on her own at home.
the bloody mess round here. Bloody faggots. Just like a tart, you want me.
This isn't the first time, as we saw with Shamima when she was in the doll's house earlier, but I like the fact they capture how kids hear what their parents say and just pick it up, and that's what they're going to use when they use dialogue doing impressions of adults.
There was a beautiful light which filled the room.
No words. This is just watch the exchange. It's brilliant.
Hey.
What?
I bring wonderful news of great joy.
Do you know?
You're going to have a baby and it's God's and it's going to be called Jesus.
I knew that. And it's gonna have blonde hair.
Christian, still not perturbed, gets some advice from Zoe.
You're in love with Debbie, aren't you? You want to marry her, don't you?
Hold on.
Do you want her to marry you? You want to make your head nice. If someone wants to marry someone, you've got to make your head better than that.
Black ball tram. There's you.
Ding ding. North Pier, eh? North Pier.
I don't know if this was ever a thing or a craze. He's pretending to be the conductor on a tram, but we're building up to that third act payoff, so let's get with it.
Ding ding.
Zoe then tells Christian what to expect at a wedding.
Who else? When you get married and that.
Well, you have a big party in your scout hut, and everyone smokes cigarettes.
What else happens?
Mum cries because she wanted a big tent, but everyone stopped eating beef burgers, so we can't afford it, and the government assaults. She won't marry you if you've got a tatty head, because someone else will look posher than you, and that's just it. She just won't.
Warren, who's playing Joseph, gets stage fright, so Debbie Bennett ends up saying all of his lines as well as Mary's.
How far is it to Bethlehem? A long way, Mary, but you can ride on the little donkey.
You gotta love the fact that Ian is singing Little Donkey almost like a football chant, putting it at Zan as well.
With your precious load.
Adrian's outside in the rain by the fact that the other wise men have been making fun of his lisp.
He was supposed to ring the bell then when they say ring the bells. Wasn't he, Mrs. Humphries? He was supposed to ring the bell then.
You've got to love Tim's reaction to the bell being broken, and that's how a kid would react. He's pointing at it and just miming.
What they said.
My dad's just an electrician.
That's all right. Jesus' dad was only a carpenter.
Until he was hired by Ford, and then he went on to making them. We find out that Shamima's dad and Shamima's family have problems with another family because one's from India and one's from Pakistan.
India. And mine are from Pakistan.
Doesn't your dad get mad with them?
He tells them to. He hates Mr. Forbanney. He says Mr. Forbanney was just showing off at Easter.
Why?
When his pecker was in Joseph's amazing dream coat, and Mr. Forbanney made him that magic coat with tons of car paints from his garage, my dad said he was just showing off.
Jay switches allegiances back to Shamima when she finds that Shamima and Dawn are speaking to each other without letting her know.
To her. Right. Come on, Shamima. We're not talking to Dawn, are we? We are very tired, and my wife is having a baby. Is there any room?
No, a room.
Tim there trying to tell him what his next line should be, but Ian, being the kid he is, has to give himself more of a role than he's actually got as the innkeeper and goes looking to see if he's got room at the inn. And there's some famous names staying as well.
Let me see. Let me see. Room. No, David Beckham's in that one.
Ian Rotherham. No.
This is the first interaction with that set of plug sockets where the kid doesn't actually have a reason to, doesn't get their crook stuck in it. They actually just pick up something and want to whack it, which I think is brilliant. Back in the classroom, Clive is on the hunt for Michael Owen in the storage cupboard.
Please, Michael Owen. Monster Munch.
It's time for his big debut, his big role, Christian as the innkeeper. It's almost got a slight quality of like The Undertaker's entrance in wrestling, isn't it? It's got this build up with this ominous music.
Until at last they came to an inn at the very edge of the town.
are very tired and having a baby, is there any room at the inn?
That was such a great place to have an ad break, wasn't it? But is there any room at the inn?
You can come in, but he can bugger off.
Tool shed.
Couldn't that.
Give us the torch. I'm looking for Michael Owen. Torch, we need it for the fire. Give it us.
Smoked away. He does that. Then he does that. And then...
Shepherds!
You have to love his enthusiasm for the torch.
In the cold bare stable, Mary had her baby.
I told you to remember that, didn't I? I like the little touch that she's mooing because Zoe earlier told her.
Also, you moo a lot.
It's slight and it's easy to miss that little bit, but I like that little touch.
Bloody hell, Miss Humphries, it's hot in here.
Some of Stephen Tompkinson's reactions in this feel so natural and on point for what's happening on stage.
Okay, Ally McCoist. Who is this?
Again, a startling reminder that kids will remember anything they hear or see adults doing.
Fields around Bethlehem were some shepherds with their sheep. It was night time and the shepherds watching their flocks were sitting around a fire they had lit.
That clicking with the light as well is exquisite.
Very bright light and a host of angels appeared in the sky. Above
You may be wondering why Shamima is carrying that battery around, and it will become apparent later on. Do not worry. There is a payoff to that as well. Get ready for some well-timed slapstick.
Today Jesus is born in Bethlehem. He's the Lord. You'll find him lying in a manger.
Have you got memories of overhead projectors when they used to put the lyrics on them and they're at the front of the hall? Let me know in the comments below.
All around Gareth Southgate, Alan Smith in a 25-yard boxing shot! Oh, caught it in the stomach. And, well, that looked painful, Jimmy.
I love every scene that Frank Skinner is in this special, and that's not even my favourite scene of this special, but I just love the fact that they showed you it earlier and he's recreated it again. That was a good shot as well. That was a great goal, by the way. We've been flicking to Clive and Balthazar trying to look for Michael Owen in the closet, and Balthazar slowly managing to coax Clive and dare him, because he's a chicken, to go in there, and we will get back. There will be a resolution to that side story, but we flick back again to the play.
I want the toilet.
Tim's reaction, and I don't know if he's played by Mark Addy or Mark Addy. I think it's Addy, A-double-D-Y, and he's a great actor. He's been in a lot of stuff, including Full Monty. You probably know him from, especially if you're not from the UK. But from what I've seen in the credits, and I don't think they mention the kid's name in here, he's just referred to as Ass, what he's playing. So I'm going to refer to him as Mark now, right? But Mark, the way Mark just goes, I need the toilet, and Stephen Tompkinson, who plays Tim, his reaction is just like, yeah, fair point, fair point. We cut to Dawn in the toilet. She's upset because obviously Jay won't talk to her, and Zoe said you can't hang out with the shepherds, you can't hang out here, you got to go be with the wise men. But as she's in the toilet, she hears someone else crying and checks the cubicle next to hers.
What's the matter?
I'm gonna get done.
Who by?
Me dad.
Why?
Because I didn't turn it on.
What?
Shamima explains that she's unhappy because she's got to do something because her family have made it for her to impress her dad so he can show off in front of this other family they don't get on with. But then Jay's not going to like her anymore, and what is it? So she flicks, connects the circuit on the battery, and which is pretty amazing, to be fair. Back to Clive and the Temple of Doom. Is he going to find Michael Owen?
The shepherds decided to go and see for themselves what the angels had spoken about. The shepherds came down from the hills and joined the ass who was...
We see part of Zoe's character in this scene. Although she talks a lot and she's got a lot of opinions, a lot of actual advice and knowledge, about, especially about animals, etc., because her family live on a farm. When she's on that stage, she suddenly chokes up, dry throat, and can't get her lines out.
An angel. An angel. An angel told us there was a baby in this barn.
Yes, his name is Jesus. Look.
They've changed the nativity story a bit since I was a kid.
Jesus' heads fell off.
Did there? Wasn't chicken, did there? Did there? Been in the store cupboard.
Oh dear. His own phrase.
No hands.
It looks as if Christian's got the night off his drumming duties.
He must have walked like a tightrope. You'll have to get him down. You scared him up there out of the cupboard. Go on. Knock him off.
Don't tell me, don't tell me.
Dares you. Gonna tell.
In a last-ditch attempt to get Clive to go up the ladder, he tells him this little fact.
An astronaut would do it.
Dawn then runs in, exclaiming that they've lost Adrian. Obviously, he's been outside crying in the rain. And we get a nice, emotionally heartfelt moment between him and Mark Adey's character, who plays the donkey. And there's some emotion in there, and there's also some quite decent bits of comedy in there. And I think this is one of the best scenes in the film, to be fair, for bringing some emotion to what would otherwise just be comedy. I think it's a nice exchange between the two characters.
Oh, I'm telling. That's junior apparatus. That's too big for us. I'm not coming to school tomorrow. I wet down my leg, everyone saw. Went on the drum, everyone heard. And I've got a verruca, so I have to wear this on my foot. If you stay up there, then it's dangerous. You'll die. My gran died.
Was she on apparatus?
No, she was old. My mum said it was 'cause she was old. But I don't think it was, 'cause I looked inside a cardigan once and she was only 38 to 40.
I didn't.
You did. You laughed at him saying presents, and he'd have gone and probably killed himself and run away, and it'll all be your fault.
Won't.
Let's go. Tell me something. Let's go. You have to.
I don't want to, do I?
You don't dare.
Balthazar is finally dead to do something himself by Zoe, and we also see the two wise men struggling with the reality that they're going to get in trouble because Adrian is outside. We're kind of close as we cut back to Adrian and Mark Adey's character outside.
Don't you want to be in it?
I'm not going to say what I brought because they think I speak like out the special unit. I don't want to be in the special unit. My brother was in the special unit. I've not got to be.
Find out that Mark Adey's character is actually in the special unit himself, and we see him for the first time without that donkey head on, and then we sort of a semi-deep conversation about death and making people cry and making other people sad and people caring for you. It's quite nice to see, but it's portrayed in a way that it sounds like kids saying it rather than adults trying to be kids.
I'm in the unit. You can't go home if you're dead. You can't go home. You have to go to Jesus in Heswell. And your mum cries if you go to Heswell.
So your mum cry?
When my dad goes on the oil rig, she cries. In the kitchen by the cooker. But you shouldn't make people cry, because it doesn't... Because they cut themselves.
But if you don't come to school, she'll cry.
Probably will then. Probably will.
We see Clive, and it looks like he's auditioning to be on the opening scenes of an episode of Casualty, and Adrian finally makes his return in an epic, kind of grizzled, rained-on kind of way, just as the teacher is questioning Dawn and Balthazar.
At this time there were 3 wise men. One night in the skies they saw a star.
Is that Clive's cue?
Star?
Clive then realises his favourite uncle is in attendance. We also see Christian beginning to carry out his plans on how to get rid of his tatty head. Cutting to the wise men, we see them trying to bargain with Adrian.
No, he's not.
A kiddie. What he said about your mouth.
Adrian, you know your frankincense? Okay, if you give us your aircraft carrier and 20p, okay, I'll swap you.
We see Clive has left the closet door open from earlier, and Jay has walked in and come across the teacher's makeup bag.
He's fat, because he is fat. He's fat enough to be around John Burgin.
Who's John Burgin?
You know, John Burgin. We then see Debbie cough all over Warren's Christmas card he's writing for his new baby brother Colin, and Zoe warns her that that is vomit, and we know that she has potentially caught the chicken pox from Warren. Who's going to play Mary now?
That's for Colin.
That's vomit.
Balthazar offers to swap with Adrian one last time, make a deal with him, and Tim notices his mum in the audience before we see, which I think is the best scene in the whole film. Let's watch.
Have you had a baby, son?
For anyone who's not from the UK, that used to be a thing, especially in the 90s, where people would say, "Get in there, my son," like, good one. So that's why he's worded it like that, and there's a bit of a joke there. Also, I like to see Frank Spencer. I like to see Frank Spencer's character, Ian, carrying on how he does the question of sport thing, pretending there's a court of people with him as he plays King Herod. It's quite fun to see that pass over into him acting in the Nativity.
Ooh, let me see. No.
We are looking for a new baby king.
Very cross. He was very angry that there was a new king.
We get to see how angry he actually is through his acting, through some very familiar acting. 2 things. 1, they're actually acting shocked like kids would in that situation because he's going to get in trouble. 2, how many times do you reckon they did that and they couldn't stop laughing? And we end the scene with probably my favourite part of the whole film. Once again, Ian uses some football commentary dialogue to get across the situation he's in.
And thought about what the wise men had said.
He's in trouble now, Des.
And in a rather unprecedented event, there are actually 4 acts to this special. We see a picture painted of Jay's home life, as she's obviously imitating her mum with the makeup, and she's smoking the tampon as if it's a cigarette.
In my bloody house, you bloody piss artist. These are your bloody kids, Arthur. These not mine.
I love the visual here where the halo has now turned to almost devil horns, and she realises she gets to be Mary because Debbie's got chicken pox.
Jay, can Debbie have some of your father live? She's had a bit of sick come up.
Pox. Angelina, what we could do, if you switch your wings on and Jay stops talking to you because yours are better than hers.
Yeah.
Well, we could always talk to each other and not to her instead.
That is genius. We have a montage now of Balthazar trying to barter with Adrian, trying to make a deal so he can swap gifts so he doesn't have to say frankincense with his lisp. And he also doesn't want to get in trouble if he doesn't go through with it. And we're constantly flicking back to Jay, who's now having a fight with Debbie about having Mary's clothes, and she's going to be Mary now. We get shots of Clive getting excited about his Uncle Ted. We're getting towards the end now. We're getting a nice build-up of flicking to other people as we're getting towards that scene.
Smile.
From for red.
Me and Shamima have decided to be friends and we're not talking to you. Is that all right?
Such a British thing to say after that. Tim, the narrator, then notices something in the audience that upsets him. And something I don't know about the Nativity, and I'm sure you might be new to you as well. Apparently there were 2 Marys. We get a second Mary injected into the story. No, of course not. Jay's come in. She's decided she's going to be Mary no matter what.
They knocked on the stable door.
Oh, come in.
Warren suddenly finds his confidence and overcomes his stage fright, and he lets us know that the newborn's name is...
What is his name?
Colin.
As Jay's taken off the stage for trying to interfere and be Mary, we get an insight into how stressful Miss Humphreys is finding this whole ordeal.
Shuttle down. My Uncle Ted. Hey, my dad drinks that.
The 3 wise men present their gifts to baby Jesus. We have gold, we have myrrh, and the tension rises. What is the gift that Adrian is going to give baby Jesus?
And I bring him more myrrh.
He looks so proud when he says that as well. It's brilliant.
What's the matter?
We find out where Zoe's got the whole idea of Round John Burgeon from.
Round John Burgeon. Told you there were a fat bloke there and all.
Also, Christian finds out what's got Tim so down.
Is your mum here?
It's not my dad she's come with, though.
I do feel like throughout this whole special / film, whichever one you want to call it, Stephen Tompkinson's character Tim, although he's only the narrator, goes through such an emotional journey of ups and downs, of being excited about his dad coming and learning the lines for him, and then his mum's there but not with his dad. There's a bit of emotion here. His real emotion as Tim, the child, juxtaposes and also contradicts what he's actually saying as the narrator about how happy the situation is.
Children from all over the world
came to worship the baby. Come on, Tim.
In the end, Errol got his one wish. He didn't have to hold the French flag. He got to hold the Canadian flag instead. And I don't know if this is a pop at France, but they let Balthazar hold the French flag.
That's my mum.
That's my social worker.
Go on. Switch him on.
Back in the classroom, we see Jay sitting there. She's in the doghouse, but now we see a stream of clothes as it pans all the way to the door of the classroom.
It was a time of great joy.
By this time, you're sort of attached to the characters a bit, and it puts a bit of a lump in your throat seeing how Tim reacts to the fact his mum and dad have obviously split up, which is quite a traumatic thing, especially at that age, and it kind of tears you up a bit.
It was a time of great joy.
And in a trend that this has kept up throughout the whole Nativity play, we see another twist, this time on the star itself.
There was a sign of peace and happiness in the world for everyone, everywhere. The beautiful star of Bethlehem.
Houston, this is Houston to Uncle Ted. Over.
Clive Cuttle, get that soup back on the science table.
Monster on the back wall. Over.
And as the kids spot Michael Owen on the overhead projector, mistake it for a giant monster, and chaos ensues, and we finally see that payoff we're waiting for.
Does look good, doesn't it?
Christian finally has Debbie in his arms, and we finally see that third act, or in this case, fourth act payoff.
Right, no one's hurt.
But it doesn't end there. We now get the parents waiting for their kids to get changed and finish backstage, and we get to see the same actors and actresses play their parents.
Another one. Let's
supposed to have spices in it, isn't it?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And we realise that Debbie Bennett's mum is actually Mrs. Humphreys, and maybe that's the reason she got to play Mary. Ian and Balthazar's dads, respectively, are the mayor and what seems like his main assistant.
Nice. Lovely. Thank you very much.
I knew this would happen. No, it's not a problem. What wrangle? Oh, the Evening Gazette. What did I know about? No. They're applauding the fact that we took 8 underprivileged kids to see Santa in Lapland. They just want to know why 8 councillors accompanied them.
I'd do it.
And stayed at the Radisson International Hotel in Helsinki. And I said it was to forge trade links between the two towns.
Trade links? Well, that's good. That's good, because I tell you, people around here are just crying out for seal blubber.
Charlie, will you calm down?
Blubber. Where the hell are we going to get more blubber? They walk around shouting.
Shamima's mum continuing the feud they have with the Four Banner family that Shamima alluded to earlier.
Wonderful, wasn't it? Yes, lovely.
So beautiful when you see the little ones, isn't it?
Yes.
Just, the eyes. Puts it all into perspective. Have you got some of Mrs. Forbanny's there? Oh, no. Try these. Try my ones.
We see Andrew and Adrian's dads chatting, and Adrian's dad very against him wanting to be in the special unit, which I think is why in Adrian's mind he was so hurt by everyone saying he should be in there. And they actually do say Andrew's name now. I'm sure this is the first time they said his name in the whole thing, so they do actually say it in here. I apologise for that.
He was supposed to say frankincense.
Oh, aye. Isn't his brother in the special unit with our Andrew? Yeah, the lad in the donkey head.
His brother's actually dyslexic, actually. I think now. It's a chemical thing.
I like how Errol's dad has the light, and it's because he's an adult now, he's playing the dad. The light is actually a more manageable size, but it's the same exact light. So I don't know how long they went finding a light with a flashing orange light on it. I don't know how long they went looking for a light that had a bigger size and a smaller size, or maybe they made it in the props department, but I did like that little touch.
Put it down, and I walked 3/4 of a mile down the road.
What happened?
Well, ironically, someone nicked it, actually, but I could see him. I could see him nicking it.
We then get a scene outside with Mrs. Humphreys and Tim's dad, who actually was there to see the play.
Hello? Are you anything to do with
The PTA? Yes.
the Nativity?
Oh, yes.
Could you just tell the narrator, the little lad that was the narrator,
Tim.
that his dad... I couldn't come in, but I saw it all from the back. Just let him know that I saw it all, and that I was there. And I'll see him on Boxing Day.
Boxing Day. Okie dokie.
And I'm his dad.
Dad, Boxing Day. Okie dokie.
And he was... it was great. Just let him know he was really, really great.
Great Dad, Boxing Day. Okay.
Thanks.
I thought that was quite a moving and nice way to finish Tim's story arc as well, that you'll find out his dad was actually there and really proud of him. Then see Tim's dad walk away, and that is the end. And I think this special, the Flint Street Nativity, I think if you haven't seen it, you should give it a go. Some of these actors and actresses you may not recognise now if you're not that old, but they're all mainstream comedy actors and actresses of the time, at least in the UK. It actually runs for about 58 minutes. For some reason, online, everywhere says it runs 75. It's actually just under an hour. But I would rate this. I watch it a couple of times a year outside of Christmas, probably 2 or 3 times a year in December. But no, it's really good. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I hope you all have a great Christmas and a great New Year. Put in the comments any memories you have of this or of your own nativity, what parts you played, and what you want to review next. But until then, take it easy.